So thank you guys for coming to my talk. My name is Mohammad Sajid Anwar, and I run this weekly challenge called the Weekly Challenge Perl and Raku. First thing first, where did I get the idea of weekly challenge? I'm sure you remember this seep and pull request challenge that was run by Neil Bowers a long time ago, and it was between 2015 up until December 2018. I was very much actively participating in this pull request challenge, and then when in December 2018 Neil decided not to continue, I was very sad, and I thought, okay, because that challenge was keeping me busy all the time. So, and then I said, okay, if I'm not doing sleep and pull request challenge, then what I'm supposed to do then? So at that point, I had lots of free time. So I thought I need to do something to keep myself busy. Otherwise, I'm sitting idle. So at the same time, there's a guy called Kiwan Yazan. He started pull request club, similar to what Neil Ba was doing. So I said, okay, now he started doing this pull request club. So what else left for me to do then? So then I joined pull request club. Okay, at least in the meantime, I can still keep myself busy by doing this pull request club challenge. And then I started thinking about something different from what Neil Ba was doing or Kiwan is doing as a pull request club. After a few months, I decided, okay, why not have some kind of weekly challenge where I can have some easy task for somebody who is new to Perl, can come and join and share their ideas. Because as we know, in Perl, you can do things like more than one ways, like Team Today. So then we can have fun. So if you see simple tasks like FizzBuzz can be done in so many different ways. Why not have fun? Let's find out how many different ways you can do FizzBuzz kind of thing. So that's where the whole idea came up. So on 25th of March 2019 is when we actually started this challenge. And I called it Perl Weekly Challenge initially because we were mostly focused on the Perl language. And then later, I saw a lot of interest in the Raku as well. So I said, okay, why not Perl and Raku together? So I was still calling it Perl Weekly Challenge, but I was accepting solutions in Perl and Raku both. So after a point, I said, okay, the name of the project is called Perl Weekly Challenge, but I'm accepting Perl and Raku. Why not call it something generic so it makes sense? Because by calling Perl Weekly Challenge and accepting solutions in Perl and Raku doesn't make sense. So then by the time I already had a domain registered as pearlweeklychallenge.org. So I said, if I change the name from Perl Weekly Challenge to The Weekly Challenge, then it doesn't go along with this domain, which is called pearlweeklychallenge.org. So I have to register a new domain called theweeklychallenge.org. So another problem came, okay, what? I've already done so many challenges. It's already hosted in pearlweeklychallenge.org. How I redirect everything which has already been posted on the other domain to this new domain? And I'm not so good in infrastructure and all this setup thing, administration job. And then I asked my best friend, Gabor, the chief editor of Perl Weekly, I said, Gabor, I need your expertise. And he said, okay, Mohammad, maybe one Sunday afternoon, we can sit together and I can see what I can do for you. You would not believe it. In half an hour on one Sunday afternoon, he did all the magic and everything works magically. All the pearlweeklychallenge.org is now redirecting to theweeklychallenge.org. I don't know how he did it. He did it in front of me. We did it together. I mean, he did most of the work. I was just typing. I say, Mama, do this. Okay, type this. Okay, do this. They did. And I was just typing. I didn't know what I'm doing, but he did some magic. And then within half an hour or so, I have theweeklychallenge.org up and running, redirecting all the old challenges from the Perl Weekly. So I still have both domain. I still own both domain. So if somebody by mistake goes to perlweeklychallenge.org, they'll redirect back to the weeklychallenge.org. So that was all sorted. So that's okay, now I have everything set up. But then by this time, I already have stuff stored as, because at that point in time, Raku was not called, Perl 6 was not called Raku. It was Perl 6. So to differentiate between Perl 6 and 5, I call Perl as Perl 5. So you still see in some of the directory structure, I call Perl as Perl 5 and Raku as Perl 6. And I said, doesn't it look nice? Now we have a new name, Raku. Why not call Perl as Perl 5 as Perl, not Perl 5? Why call Perl 5? Just call Perl. So I have to go back and do all the data warehouse management, cleaning stuff. And after a few months, I have everything nice and clean. So now Raku is called Raku, Perl is called just Perl. So there's no confusion, no Perl 5, no Perl 6. It's just a unique name. So the whole idea was to come up with 2 weekly tasks. One task was aimed for the beginners, so he just new to Perl. And second task is for the expert level, those who knows Perl inside out. They can solve the task. And then after a couple of months, Gabriel said, Mohammad, I like the idea of 2 tasks. Why not you add another task, optional, make it optional. Don't make it compulsory. And that would be asking the team to do a Perl interface to an API. Because at that time, not many API had a Perl interface. They had an interface to other languages, but not many had Perl interface. So why not give a random API every week and ask the user to create a Perl API to that interface? And I said, why not? I like that idea. So I started giving an optional thing. And one of the team members in the early days, Joel Maslak, she's in the conference today. And she kind of took this idea and she kind of forced herself into this task. So she did almost every week, she started doing this API interface. Such a beautiful one. It's all there in the GitHub repository if you want to have a look. And then Neil Bowers also picked up one week. He said, okay, when we give the detect language API as an optional task, and Neil Bauer always loved playing with the language. When he saw this detect language API, he said, oh, wow, I'll do this. So he came up with his Perl interface and he created a CPAN module and published it on Meta CPAN and as a solution to this weekly challenge. And he didn't stop there. He reached out to this detect language API guys, the parent website, and say, okay, now we have a Perl interface. Why don't you list my solution on your homepage? So now we have a Perl interface to this detect language API listed on their official homepage. So that was kind of like very interesting. See, so I'm glad that we got something out of it. Now, for weekly challenge, there are 2 different kind of user base. One, we call it the regular contributors who contributes in Perl and Raku. You don't have to do both, but either of them. We call them regular contributors. But there are other contributors which are contributing in different languages, not just Perl, not in Perl or Raku, but in other languages. We call them guest contributors. So as of today, we got 290 regular contributors and 17 guest contributors. Altogether, 300 and plus members in the team. And I call the team as Team PWC because initially it was Perl Weekly Challenge. So I didn't want to change that to TWC. It doesn't sound nice. I said, I want to keep it PWC. So its team is still called PWC. It's called Team PWC.
It could stand for programming.
It could be, yeah. But for me, deep inside, I know it's Perl. But it gives me pleasure saying, okay, it's called Team PWC, Perl Weekly Challenge. But that's a good point, yeah. It could be called as Programming Weekly Challenge. So in July 2019, out of nowhere, I got an email from Peter Sargent from Perl Carriers, a big recruitment agency. And he said, Mohammad, I would like to sponsor a weekly prize for your weekly challenge. I said, wow, what would be that? He said, I'm going to offer $50 for one member every week. You pick the champion and I'll pay the $50 American US dollar equivalent. I said, that's a good idea. So that's when we started offering this, declaring the weekly champion and offering $50 every week. And we continued this until December 2019. And and after that, we decided to do it instead of weekly, we decided to do a monthly winner. And ever since, he's been supporting us to do the monthly champion. And also, we got Brian Defoe. He's been a big support to this weekly challenge. He always offered his books and ebooks, sometimes physical books, as a giveaway. So in the past, he gave us few physical books, Perl books, and recently he's giving Perl example books, ebook, 50 copy. So that we've been giving every week to one member every week. So as of today, these are the number of contributions we received. So for Perl, we got 11,483 solutions received so far. For the Raku is 6,612. And the most important part is the blogs. It's 3,732 blogs contributed by the team. Being a co-editor of Perl Weekly Challenge, sometimes I find it hard to find a blog post talking about Perl in general. Very rare. But then these team members always help me to fill up my newsletter. So I have lots of blog posts written by so many different people, and they have such a different style of explaining things, and it's such a beautiful thing. It keeps you busy. So every time I go and collect through, I say, okay, never mind. If I don't find my regular blog post, I can still fill with my weekly challenge blog post to the newsletter. So that's where it's helped me a lot. So 3,700 is quite a lot compared to what we had before. Okay, as of today, as you said, we started accepting solutions in different languages. We got 100 plus different unique languages other than Perl and Raku. So quite a lot. And there's people who would solve solutions in a language that I've never heard of. For example, the first time I heard about the language called APL, I said, I don't know what you're talking about, APL. When I saw the solutions in APL, it's just a symbol. There's not a word in it. It's always symbol, like a square symbol, rectangle. I said, what does it mean? It means nothing. It's like it's Chinese to me. But then there are people who could do in APL. I said, wonderful. So, and they're like similarly, there's something called, a language called R. Never heard of. So there's so... These are the top 10 guest languages we have. So Python being the number one, 1,641 solutions so far, Haskell, Ruby, Lua, C, Rust, C++, Go. So these keep changing. I mean, as and when we get solutions, the number goes up and down. No. But I don't know. What is BQN? I have no idea.
No, I don't see PHP. That's funny too.
Yeah, there are PHP, but it's not in the top 10. But yeah, it is there in one of the. And also, we are lucky to have Damien Conway as a participant unofficially. And I didn't realize it until I found a blog post by Damien on blogs.perl.org. I said, what Damien is picking up my weekly channel every week, and he's talking about, and he's writing a blog post every week on the Perl's blog.perl.org. I was surprised. I said, okay, because he is not submitted to us officially, so I said, I'm not going to let it go. I'll keep it as a priceless moment. So I collected all his blog posts, put it on my website saying, these are the work done by the Damien Conway. So this is the link where if anybody interested, these are all the collection of his contributions to the weekly challenge, unofficially. He has never submitted any solution, but he wrote a very detailed solution for every week challenge. Similarly, Andrew Shutov, he's mostly to the Raku guy, to my knowledge. He started taking participate in the weekly challenge and mostly done lots of Raku thing. And for him, I didn't have to do the compilation. He done it himself. He's got his own website. He has nicely laid down all his contribution in a nicely table structure. So anybody who is interested to know how he's done his weekly challenge in Raku can go to this link and find out. And also we had Abigail, Neil Bowers, Dave Cross, and lots of other people who has been taking part in the weekly challenge. I remember when Abigail joined the team, I was saying, is it real? Abigail interested in the weekly challenge? And believe it or not, first I thought Abigail is a girl. And I started referencing him, she. And Dave Cross say, Mohammad, you're wrong. He's a guy. And few other people got confused as well. And then Dave Cross corrected, okay, he's a guy, he's not a girl. So we have to correct ourselves. And for the first time I met him at this conference.
Oh, really?
I've never met him. And he never had his photo anywhere on the website. So you don't know how he looks like. So on the day one, when Abigail came to me, hi Mohammed, this is my Abigail. Are you? Yeah. I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. So it was a pleasant surprise for me to meet Abigail in person. I wasn't expecting him to meet him. And I'm a big fan of Abigail. Before I knew who Abigail is, but I've seen his work in the past. So because I've seen all his regex magic everywhere in the website. So I said, maybe he joined the team. So probably we're going to have lots of creative solutions from Abigail every week. And he would not just do the solution, he would write a nice blog post where he explained things in a very simple language so any layman can understand. And I remember every now and then he would find block holes in my task. He said, this task is not nicely described. Forget it. I'll do it this way. I know what it means. So, and he would do it his own way. And then I said, wow, what a magic. And some of his regex, he's used in the weekly challenge I'd never heard of, never thought of. I said, how is that even possible? Sometimes when I look at the regex solution, I say, no, that's wrong. So when I copy, paste, and do it in the command line, I say, it works. Let me think about how he done it. So it's unbelievable. And then we go back to the manual page and say, yes, it is there. How did I know that? So these are some of his solutions in there. So I'm so glad that we had his contributions in the weekly challenge. And also, after some time, I decided to take part in my weekly challenge. Thank you. And then at that time, I had lots of free time. So I thought, okay, I would not just do the weekly submitted solution. I would do a YouTube video as well. And you would not believe, up until that point, I never done any video. So it was a little bit nervy for me to do it live on YouTube. But then I started enjoying it. And I saw lots of people start subscribing to my YouTube channel. I said, wow. If I go to the subscriber list, I see a lot of big names there. I said, wow, people following my YouTube channel, although I've stopped contributing anymore because of so many other things I have on my plate. But I said, I still sometimes when I'm down, I said, let me go back and check who are the people on my subscriber list. This big name, oh man. Although I'm not doing anything, but I feel nice that there are people who still follow me on my YouTube channel. So probably maybe one day I'll start contributing again. Also, in the weekly challenge, we have something called code reviews. So we always have volunteers who could do Perl reviews and Raku reviews. And I remember when Andy Shitov decided to help us to do the Raku review, he came up with the idea to do the review as a live YouTube video. Up until then, before, people would do as a blog post saying, okay, I picked this contribution and I say, this is my view. Okay, it should have been done like this, or why you're doing this, kind of comments. But this was the first time Andrew Shitov say, okay, I'm going to do it as a YouTube video to the Raku solution. It was really nice, and everybody loved it. As of today, the weekly challenge is just running as a GitHub page. And the code base we are using is just a Hugo, which is kind of not ideal, because every time I wanted to do some design change, I find it handicap. I say, I don't know enough of your Hugo to go and make some changes. I can still do a few changes, basic here and there, but not a major changes. There's still a hassle for me. So what's my plan? So my plan is maybe move it to some proper domain hosting, something like DigitalOcean or something. Again, I have zero knowledge of doing all these things, so I'm just holding it back. Although it's not expensive to find a domain, they're quite cheap as well. But I have zero knowledge, so I'm just holding it back. Maybe one day I'll ask Gabor, can I grab your half a day on Sunday afternoons? Probably he can say, okay, here you go. Everything is all set up, and you're up to go. And also, I wanted to have a pure Perl solution website where I can play around. So, and being a fan of Dancer 2, I would rather prefer to have a Dancer 2 framework as a backend.
Mojo's better.
Mojo? I've never tried Mojo, so I wouldn't.
You never go back.
All right. So these are the website source where everything is hosted on the GitHub. This is the website code, and this is the contributions one. There you go. Questions?
No, the funny thing is I've always had on the blogging the Onion blog post, when I put mine, yours was always there at the same time.
Yeah, really.
But I didn't know you had another website.
Yeah, we do have.
So, marketing. Now I haven't gone back to it. I don't know, never knew.
Nice one.
Check it out.
Sure.
Two things. Could you rewind one slide?
Oh, gosh.
Down one. The other thing is, can you talk a little bit about where you're getting your tasks? I know sometimes people send them to you, but you have to come up with them.
Yeah, that's Kushka. Every time people come back to me saying, where do I get the task? My main source is mostly on Friday evening is the best time when I have done my day job. I said, now there's something to look for. So I just do Google and I look for some task, general task, nothing to do with Perl. And if I find some task which look exciting and interesting, I pick the task and make some twist changes here and there. So to make it more fun, and sometimes if it is a complicated one, I make it simpler, because I have to have two tasks. One is simple task and one is the complicated one. So if it is complicated, I'll split into two and make it simple. The main task, the task I found it is complicated. I make it a simpler one, so I can pass it as a simple task and then use another one as a. Initially, I had a Rosetta code which had lots of things there. So which if I find something interesting, I use this challenge from there. I said, okay, here's the challenge. But then I said, okay, it's easier for everybody to go and get the solution from there. So I stopped going from there. So, okay, I'm not picking up any of the Rosetta code tasks. So I just do general Googling, but there are still, I have few people in the team who regularly send me tasks. And every time I get it, I do credit them, like this task is submitted by so-and-so people. Any other?
I wonder what would happen if we do the tasks at ChatGPT just to see what happens.
I have done that.
Could you repeat
You have to
that?
repeat it.
What is your question? Yes. The question is, what if we pass the test to a ChatGPT?
ChatGPT.
Yeah. So for fun, once I did try paste the exact text of my task into ChatGPT, and he came up with a solution. And I said, wow. So if you want, you could probably grab the solution and submit it as your solution. Yes, it's possible. It's possible for you to. You can do that.
Are you still accepting solutions from people that don't use GitHub and just email them to you? And how much time does that take for you to handle that?
The question is, do I accept solutions as a direct email and not just GitHub pull requests? Yes, I do. There are people in the team who send me email as an attachment, solution as an attachment. So it does take me a little bit extra time. So, okay, I have to download all the extra attachments and then make sure it is the right format, because the solution has to be, for example, if it is a Perl solution for task 1, it has to be called ch-1.pl. If it is Raku, the ch-1.ra Raku. So if I get the solution as an attachment and not in the right name, I have to download it, rename it, and then move it into the folder. So that's a little bit extra. Some even don't even bother sending my attachment. It's send it as a source, as a body, solution as a body. So I have to copy paste the whole text, open a file called ch-1.pl, paste it there and save it. So, so yes, I do get solution, because sometimes people not too familiar with the GitHub process. I say, I don't have time to do all this GitHub thing. Here's my solution. Please deal with it. Okay, fine, I'll do that. So there are few members, yes, they do. So I say,
That's next week's challenge. You get an email with some code in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Strip out the code and put it into a file.
And send it
That's
to
next
GitHub.
week's challenge.
but then how would you know that solution in which language?
Detect language API.
There you go. Probably yes, that API would help me.
Seriously, break this thing down into tasks and then put those tasks out there as a weekly challenge.
They would say out there, I'm being cheeky, yeah? I'm getting my job done through a challenge, weekly challenge.
I think you've done enough work.
Oh.
I think it's time for you to
I'll probably think about it. That's a very good idea, probably, yes.
Yeah, because
Challenge the weekly challenge.
yeah, the weekly challenge is to help the weekly challenge. I think people would love to do that.
That's a very good idea. I'll think about this, yes.
Let the computer do the work, let the community do the work.
Lazy.
Let the lazy hubris and what?
I forget what you said.
Lazy hubris and
Laziness, hubris, and, oh, shoot.
yeah, right?
Yeah, we're all over 60. That's the problem. We don't remember impatience.
Impatience.
Impatience, yes, thank you.
Nice one.
Yes, you need more impatience.
Oh.
Hubris is fine.
Okay.
You just need less. You need less patience. That's what you need more impatience. Let people do well.
Probably next week, yeah, when I go back home, probably take a break and think about something nice.
I think so,
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your.
That's it.